Hello and welcome back to the Horse Racing Network with me, Izzy Phillips, and I'm joined as always by racing broadcaster and journalist Paul Alster and Jack from Quiff. We're going to be taking a look ahead to some really exciting racing at Kempton this Saturday. We've got quite a few graded races. In terms of the weather forecast, there's a little bit of rain around in the forecast on Friday. We're recording on Thursday, but it's good to soft at the moment, and it will likely be the same, potentially soft in places if that rain really gets in on Friday. But generally, obviously, Kempton's quite a flat track in terms of its racing style, and I think we've got quite a few horses that we think have got a serious chance here. We're going to kick things off with the juvenile race to begin with, and that is the Adonis. So this race has actually been won by some pretty hot horses in its time. Two champion hurdle winners have actually won this in Binocular and Punjabi. So these horses could end up on a really good roll of honour. At the top of the market, we do have the Skeltons with Precious Man. We've then got the Inform Harry Derham with One Horse Town. You've got La Luna Artista next, Fools of Akan at 20 to 1, Allure at around 25 to 1, Fantasy World 33 to 1. It's all pooling around the first two in the market with Precious Man and One Horse Town. Paul, I'll come to you first. Do you think anyone outside of those first two can win this?
I'm struggling really. Is it to find anything outside of the front two? Although I do think it's very, very interesting that Nicky Henderson is trying again with Fantasy World so quickly after it's bombed out at Musselburgh earlier in the week. So he obviously felt it didn't run its race at all. Obviously, it was 100 to 30 on, only finished fourth. But I think it's going to be, in my view, pretty much around the first two, as the market suggests. And they have met before, because at Cheltenham at the November meeting, One Horse Town beat Precious Man by very nearly 4 lengths. And Precious Man that day was conceding £5. Today they're off levels. They've both run well since. Precious Man has won a fair event over the course and distance, beating King Al, who's won since. And One Horse Town has taken on better horses, running third to Minelli's Study at the December meeting at Cheltenham, and then going back there to finish second to a good horse called Maestro Conti in the Triumph Hurdle Trial. And just on the face of it, I would suggest that that form in the book is better than what we've seen from Precious Man. Maybe Precious Man has a little more potential, we don't know, but they're betting 4 to 5 Precious Man, and you can still have 11 to 4 at the time we're recording this piece about One Horse Town, and I think that must be the value.
What about you, Jack? Are you in agreement with the value on One Horse Town, or do you think that something outside of those first two in the market could win?
And just on your point about the race being historically, this was probably one of the best trials to the Triumph, wasn't it? Punjabi, Binocular, I think both got turned over. Was that the Binocular ran in the Supreme as a 4-year-old? Zakanda won this race in 2011. I couldn't have him as well. Shows what a judge I was. I really like Fantasy World. He was supposed to run a Newbury on debut a couple of weeks ago. It was a Super Saturday. Pulled out because the ground was too wet. He went to Musselburgh and he pulled too hard. I don't know if you watched the race, but he's pulling Nico's arms out. He ends up finishing fourth. I mean, up there probably up until more or less 2 out. Just seen he's been clipped in from 14s into 10s in the last 20 minutes with Whitley Mill. 10 to 1. I'm given Nicky's historical record with that race at Newbury, just really caught my eye in the famous Lady Bamford Silks. And again, I agree with Paul. Precious Man's probably got the better form and the better upward curve. One Horse Town's with the value of the 2 5 to 2. But yeah, Fantasy World, if you can get a bit of 10s, 12s, I'm more happy to chance my arm again at double figure price.
See, I'm really surprised by the market actually having Precious Man priced up ahead of One Horse Town. I know that obviously, like you mentioned, Paul, they were off different weights when they met before, but so in that race in particular, I actually felt that Precious Man should have won. I was on Precious Man that day, and he really smacked the last fence, and it made me think that he really should have won it if it wasn't for that. When I watched it back, actually, so did One Horse Town, which made it even more impressive that actually he kind of got up and won. Obviously, they've both got form at Kempton. So it's not as if that's going to be a track that necessarily majorly favours Precious Man. So I think One Horse Town's a really lovely price to go and win this, and perhaps spoil the Skelton party.
Is
but
it?
here
Do
we
you
are.
think a lot of horses at the minute, sorry to interrupt, a lot of the horses, because it is Dan and Harry Skelton, they're just shorter than what they should be. Like, I know he's had a bit of a quiet, for him, quiet batch. He's had 10 winners in the last 2 weeks. So that's from 67 runners. Like 2 of the last 20 have gone in. But is it because it's Dan and Harry Skelton, the horses now becoming shorter than they should be? Faster than they should be.
Well, do you know what I sometimes notice? I think that what can happen, and I don't know if you guys will agree with me necessarily, but I think certain silks can attract shorter prices as well, just even in the race cards. Like, people recognise the silks, and almost it comes out that they end up getting back to that kind of shorter price. And obviously, if you looked at last weekend, you've had the likes of, you know, maybe Captain Teague and Pic Dorhey and stuff like that. And I wonder if people kind of see the silks, see that it's the Skeltons, and just kind of go with the big, almost like the big names. But I personally here think that One Horse Town can probably maintain that form line with Precious Man. Like, he did go on win well last time, but it was still in a lower kind of grade of race than this is, and a lower grade of race than what One Horse Town has been running in as well.
I
So
just pick
that's just my opinion.
just one thing, if I can just say, going back to the question, is he there? It's rather similar to the situation we have on the flat these days, where any William Haggas horse in a flat handicap at the weekend is almost automatically put in as favourite. They often do drift a little bit, so sometimes it can be worth waiting, because the bookies are just playing, a little bit cagey to see what the vibe is about the horse. They get nervous about these stables. But also, as regards the percentages, I know certainly Paul Nicholls always used to in January, and I think Dan Skelton may have done. I may stand corrected, but they used to vaccinate the horses for flu, so they always used to have a bit of a lull in form in the first 2 months of the calendar year. That hasn't happened really for Paul Nicholls this year. His horses have been going very well of late. Dan Skelton's horses are still doing fine. They're like all big stables preparing for the Cheltenham Festival. But I do think that sometimes Dan Skelton's horses do go off artificially short prices, rather like the Haggas horses on the flat.
Well, speaking of Paul Nicholls, he has got a fantastic record in the next race we're going to be taking a look at. It's another Grade 2 novices event. However, this one's over fences. It is that Pendle Novices Chase. Pendle himself, obviously, who the race was named after, was a dual winner of the King George back in the 70s. As I mentioned, Paul Nicholls is the leading trainer in this race. He's got 14 wins, including with horses like Ruabard, Frodon, and last year's winner was Pic Dorhey, who I mentioned a moment ago. He's got a pretty good hand as well here in this one. At the top of the market, though, we do have Jacks Jr. For Tom Cannon and Lucy Woodham. You've then got Go West for Paul Nicholls. You've got Jasmine Bliss, again for the informed Harry Derham. You've got Old Cowboy bringing up the market at 33-1. A small field for this Pendle, but I actually think quite an exciting race. Jack, I'll come to you first. Do you fancy the market leader here in Jacks Jr., or are you going to go elsewhere?
Yeah, I do. Historically, I always try and take on short is Jacks Jr. about best price 4 to 6. Really nice profile for the Lucy Woodham yard. I liked him as a novice of the hurdles. You expect he'll probably end up being staying 3 miles in time, but I like the way he went at Sandown. It's not a very flashy pick, right? He's had a wind up as well. He's rated 146, so technically he's the best horse of the race. You imagine he'll be using it. I don't know whether he'll be quick enough. I know he's entered in the Arco. Again, I think he'll be a really nice 3-mile handicap chaser in time. But he sets a very, very good standard. And yeah, with the wind up, £6 better than the field. It'll take a really good performance from something else in the field. Jasmine Bliss, when I listed race at Huntingdon, I think it was a mare's list of chase, but the favourite that day began. Faye Bradley ran no race, and the race fell into his lap. Go West is a pretty solid second favourite, but I'd be very surprised if Jacks Jr. doesn't get the job done here on Saturday.
What about you, Paul? Are you agreeing?
Pretty much, yeah. I wouldn't be too tempted into a bet in this race, because to all intents and purposes, although it's a Grade 2, Most of these horses, really, their form is in decent handicaps. Even allowing for the listed race that the mare won, Jasmine Bliss, last time out. And as Jack pointed out, it was a race that kind of did fall apart a little bit. Jack's Junior's only poor run came when it burst a blood vessel, had a little bit of a bloody nose at Ascot in a grade 2. So it's not to say that it isn't going to be able to run to this standard. And given the way it won at Sandown last time out, it very possibly will. I think Go West will give it a race, but it's probably a race, I think, more to sit back and watch than get too heavily involved in.
Yeah, I mean, strangely, I don't know why, but I don't massively fancy the favourite Jacks Junior. I do quite like the look of either Go West or Jasmine Bliss. I think that obviously I mentioned it in our kind of previous race. Harry Durham's on a really good form rating at the minute. It's 33% strike rate. I know that Lucy Wadham also is. She's up at about 38, I think nearly 40%. But yeah, I just have a feeling that the favourite could get turned over here because both Go West and Jasmine Bliss have run good races in the past. Both of them have got some reasonable form at Kempton. So I just think that they could give Jacks Junior a run for his money. So I will probably have a little play on either of them just to see if they can get the better of the favourite. This is like tables of turn, guys. I'm now not going with the favourite and you guys are. So maybe I've got that one completely wrong, but I just don't fancy him. I'm not sure. Obviously he's got a good reason for perhaps that poor run that we saw where he bled, Paul, but I'm still not convinced. But that does mean it's time to move on to the Dovecote Novices Hurdle. That's run over 2 miles. It is the next race on the card at Kempton on Saturday. And at the top of the market, we have another Skelton favourite in the form of Double Measure. We've then also got Club de Rev, Storming George, Mustang de Brol, a really interesting entry here from Nicky Henderson. Only for Frankie, Loaded and Locked, Desert More News, Matty Woe. Am I saying that right? Oh yeah, Matty won't. Cocktail Blur, Lexington Wood, Blues Singer, and I'll say the last one, and Zaria, again, another one at 33s. A really interesting field. I like the look of Henderson's runner, Mustang de Brol. I'll wait until I say why, but Paul, I'll come to you first for this one. Quite a big field. Where does your eye go?
Well, first of all, it's nice to see a really decent sized field for a graded novice hurdle. That's always good. And the fact they're betting around 4-1, 9-2 the field, of course, it's a Skelton horse that's favourite, Double Measure, is interesting. I think I'm catching it is cold, actually. Anyway, what I would say is that you mentioned Mustang de Bruyne. I think it is very interesting for Nicky Henderson because it did win nicely at Doncaster, and it's a 4-year-old taking on older horses, and it's got the right connections. 2 from 2, it'll handle whatever ground is thrown at it. In a really open race, I'm interested in that one along with the other 4-year-old, which is Matiwo. Matiwo, I'm just going to favour here for Jane Williams and Kieran Gethings. It was excuse me. It was a father at Cheltenham in December when it was still in front. I think it was at the 5th flight in a really decent event. And then last time out, absolutely dotted up at Newbury. Won very, very easily and came away from them in the manner of a good sort. Now, I think that this Matiwo has got quite a future, and apparently Jane Williams, after it won at Newbury, and she's not prone to great exaggeration apparently, was really, really enthusiastic. So I would just favour Matiwo with the JP McManus horse, very well worth considering. And Harry Durham's runner as well. I think Club de Rev is another one that's worth a second glance, but it really is a very open race.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of Mustang de Bruyne, I think it's partly what you said about just connections. They tend to not invest if they don't think that the horse is going to be pretty good. And obviously, he's got 2 wins to his name. It's interesting to see where his ceiling could be. I just think he's a really nice price off of a low weight at around 8-1. But I also really liked the performance last time out of the opposite end of the spectrum, top weight Club de Rev. He actually won at Kempton last time by 10 lengths. So he could obviously put up a massive performance here, and he is a little bit shorter at 5-1. Jack, what about you? Where's your selection in this one?
I agree with everything the pair of you said. They Club de Rev won a really nice maiden hurdle. You don't get bad races at Kempton of the Boxing Day meeting. He was slightly hampered by a loose horse and still kind of did it well. He won by 10 lengths at the end. He should be the right favourite on the day the Scout Hospital measure. Again, it's fabricated price. It should be way bigger the price he is. But Mustang de Bro be a 120 rated horse. I think of Warren Gray tricks at Doncaster. But it's the confidence in, if you watch the race back, it's the confidence in the manner of how James Boyne rode the horse. They're still kind of upside to the 2 out, and he just gives him a little bit of a squeeze, and he goes on to it by 4 lengths. The 4-year-olds, as Paul said, getting £7 is huge in a race like this. If he comes out tops through, I cannot for the life of me work out why this Henderson horse is 8-1 on Saturday, unless they're trying to get him out for the Fred Winter. If the green and gold handbrake is off, 8-1 Mustang de Bro is a huge price. If he gets beat, back in for the Fred Winter. That's all I'll say.
I was really interested by the jockey booking, because before the jockey bookings were announced, I'd had a little look at this field, and I did wonder whether, being such a young horse, whether Harry Cobden would take the ride on this one, considering he's most likely to be the jockey moving forward. So I was quite surprised to see James Bowen jocked up. I know he obviously won on him last time, and Harry doesn't officially take the job till May, but obviously we've seen him on a few McManus horses here and there, and I just thought that this might be one of them, without kind of a really obvious Nichols horse in this race. Obviously Harry's actually riding for Emma Lavelle in this, which is just interesting, a point of note maybe.
And again, James Boyne on for Nico de Bonville, huge plus for yours truly, so I can get stuck in at 8-1 up the Mustang.
Okay, we move away from the graded races and we start to take a look at a handicap that happens at 3:35 at Kempton. However, it's no small handicap, because it is £85,000 to the winner. So for that reason, it's attracted an exciting field of 13 runners, and we've got Cat Dory at the top of the market, followed by Holy Joe Smoke for the Skeltons, the Doyen Chief, which we won't mention just yet, Jack. We've then got Cadeau St. Frey coming next, Deep Cave, Chance Another One, Soul Icon, Look Away, Rising Dust, Boomborn, Henry's Friend, Leader in the Park, Gustavian, and that is all at 25-1. Quite a few entries in here, interestingly, for Ben Pauling, but none of them massively fancied. Jack, if I come to you first for this one, because I know we spoke about this one a little bit off air, you've got a little story when it comes to the Doyen Chief, but where's your selection going?
Yes, as Paul kind of mentioned, it's really nice to see a strong field sizes for a race of this quality. The fact it's 92-5 on the field, you probably only get 4 places if you shop around. Cat Dory has been a bit of a bridesmaid. She was good second at Cheltenham New Year's Day. I think he's got a very good chance for the San Thomas Yard. But yeah, the one I'm kind of up in an hour when do I get involved with the Doyen Chief, who I really fancied for a warm handicap chase at Cheltenham. I think at the December meeting, 3.25 miles. He just didn't quite stay in the soft ground. He actually jumps it like 2 lengths behind in second, and then just doesn't get up the hill. That's a race where Long Pressive was carried 12 stone. The Doyen Chief actually finishes 100. He was off 104. He ended up finishing 5th that day. He just gets knackered, poor thing. He then drops back down in trip to 3 miles here of the course and distance, when he dropped £2. He's only gone up £1 for that, and I think he's a proper horse. But again, my old boss used to say, if you haven't gone to the wedding, Jack, you can't go to the funeral. So if you've done your money once and then he runs again and you miss him, you have to let the horse go. So it's like, let it go, Jack. So I will have to leave her alone. And I don't mention a lot of the Skelton horses go slightly overbacked. I'm surprised Holy Smoke. I think he will get back to the day. His optimum conditions are right-handed 3 miles. A little bit cut on the ground. He won at Sandown last year for Michael 127. They've tried him around Cheltenham a few times. I just don't think he likes the track. He's struggling to get up the hill on all three starts out this year. been backed on a number of occasions, but he just doesn't like it there. Handicap has given him a chance, back down to Michael 131. First time headgear, I think, should hopefully do the trick. But the Doyen Chief will probably win. You'll probably see me cry, but my money will be going on Hojo this Smoke on Saturday.
And what about you, Paul? What do you make of this race?
I remember this race as the Racing Post chase. For years it was sponsored by the Racing Post, and it produced some really good horses. Some of whom went on to run in the Gold Cup even and run very well in it. One thing that interests me here, is Emmett Mullins. He's a real shrewder. He's got 2 in the race, and he's actually only, I think, sent 5 horses across to Kempton in the last 5 or 10 years, and 3 of them have won. So he's got a 60% strike rate at the track, and he's got 2 in here. He's got Sean Bowen on one, and he's got his regular jockey Donna Myler on the other. And I think they're 2 horses to really keep a close eye on market-wise. Chance Another One, who found 2 miles far too sharp for him in a hot race at Leopardstown last time. And the other one is a horse that's improved leaps and bounds. Rising Dust has improved 3 stone across its last 3 or 4 runs. So it's a huge improver. So do look out for that. But in the end, I think that the one that might well do the business here, and I think we can forgive it a run on a day where quite a few horses ran below par in very sticky ground at Doncaster in January. Deep Cave for me, for Christian Williams and Jack Tudor. Christian's won this race before, remember, with Captain Nor, who always used to go very well at this meeting. And this horse had rattled up a hat-trick before it disappointed at Doncaster last time. I think if it bounces back to the form it showed when it won at Ascot in a Grade 3 the time before, that could be good enough. It's around a 9-1 chance now. Deep Cave. Emmett Mullins.
I felt exactly the same as you, Paul, when I had a little look at this field and saw those 2 Emmett Mullins runners.
Great
Rising
points.
Dust in particular, very attractive jockey booking with Sean Bowen. Didn't they team up? I'm just got to get this right, whether they teamed up at the DRF more recently. And I think he had a winner there for Emmett Mullins as well. So
Emmett Mullins might have had
was.
one just ran a cracker. Sean Bowen. I think it might have either won or been in a photo finish, but yeah, it is interesting that they're
I like to see the 2 teaming up. It's interesting to me.
Yes.
It's quite like a shrewd, like you say, a shrewd race placement, a shrewd jockey booking. The whole thing has the word shrewd kind of plastered all over it, doesn't it? And it just can't be ignored. So yeah, I will probably have a little play on both of those. They're quite a nice each way price actually. I was similar to Jack. I actually did quite like the look of the Doyen Chief, mainly based around his kind of Kempton form. Obviously they say horses for courses. Obviously I didn't kind of back him and then desert him and now coming to back him again. So I've got no funerals or weddings to worry about here with this one. But I do think that he could have a really good chance. The only thing that puts me off slightly is Alan King isn't having loads of winners at the moment. But I do think that, this could be a race that would really suit him. So quite an open race, quite an exciting race. I think there's some really good racing around on the cards at Kempton. But before we go off, guys, obviously we have tomorrow got Constitution Hill going in his first flat race. I will put you on the spot and I will ask you both, do you think he'll win? Jack, does Connie Hill win?
I work for a bookmakers, right? You learn the favourites. I'm sorry. I think he gets back to Madrid. I'd be more interested in either Chase and Saturday. If you are tempted to back Constitution, you'll save your money back a Nicky Richards horse called Sunny Villa instead. But it's good for racing. The Friday Night Live stuff should get a lot of punters in the door at Southall, and it's creating headlines for the sport in a good way. So fair play that he nearly got balloted out. Would have been, I'd have hated been the cat at 7 barrels if he'd seen the decks and he'd missed out by 1. But he's got a good engine. He's got a good jockey on board. But yeah, I'd quite happily keep it tucked in my wallet around the 74 mark. But fascinating nonetheless.
What about you, Paul? Do you think O'Sheen can get him up to win?
Oh, I think he might. I think he might well win. I would not back him. It's just a race to watch and observe, and I don't know how much we'll learn about how good he's going to be jumping a hurdle at Cheltenham. But anyway, we shall see. It's good to get all the telly there and a bit more publicity for this sport, and let's hope it's only good publicity and nothing goes amiss.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it will be quite an exciting night under the Friday night lights at Southall. But like you say, Paul, it might be a bit more information around Royal Ascot than it will be for the Cheltenham Festival for
Yeah.
Constitution Hill, that's for sure. But exciting nonetheless. But thanks so much for joining us, and stay tuned for what we have coming next week.